Hello, I am Isaac Erickson, and today is Python lesson number 1. And so we're going to start with it. We're going to be going over comments. We're going to talk about the print function. That is the first function that you'll be learning. You're going to write some very simple programs. And what a variable is, we're going to do some basic arithmetic, and then reassigning variables. And we'll bring it all together at the end. So first off, you'll see when we have comments. So in every programming language, you're going to, at least that I'm aware of, you have something called comments, which is where you can make, that's exactly what they are. It is something that the computer does not read. It's not something, but it's something that you can put in there in the code that that will be available to you or somebody else that's looking at your code. So a comment, as you can see here, will start with, in Python, it starts with a pound. In other languages like C or C++, it's a // but you want you'll use a pound if it's multiple lines, so you can do like this. Pound, this is a comment. There. So I could write an entire book and the computer will not know that it's there. And if I have a larger block of code, I can use I can bracket it with 3 quotation marks, and I can say this is a bunch of comments. There we go. So you get the point, and when I do these lessons, you will notice that I'm going to be commenting out the subjects that we're going to be discussing. So let's move on. That's very crucial to know, because if you're looking at someone else's code, and if they're a good programmer and they're nice and neat, and they love you, what they're going to do is they're going to be putting comments in there so you can know, oh, this is what this variable really means. This is what this function really means. And you want to do that for yourself because it's just going to be easier when you look back at your code in the future. So commenting is important. Now let's move on and actually write something. So print is this is the most common function, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just type in hello world. And I'm going to click this. This is the run button here. And you're going to see down in this, that what I just wrote, this is called a string, and it shows up down in this window. I could also do print 5, just put an integer in there. And then I can run it again, and I get hello world 5. So if it's an integer, I mean, I could also put, if I did put quotes before and after this 5 or whatever number I put in there, it would actually read it as a string, not an integer. Integer means number, and a string means just a string of words, whatever it may be. Now, let's move ahead. So this is, one thing that's important to know. So you can always tell when you look at code, and this is, Python has this, this is in common with Java, JavaScript, C, C++, and the functions are written very similar in most of those languages, at least that from my memory. And so it starts with a word, or maybe a word dot another word, and then you have these parentheses right here. That's what makes it a function. And so the print function is the one that certainly in these first couple of lessons, we're going to be using the print function the most, and you're going to be using it in this lesson, of course. So print is a great way to learn functions. Now, variable. So I'm going to say, a variable is nothing more than giving something a name. It can be a number. So dogs is one variable, cats is another variable. Okay, that means cats is assigned to, dogs is assigned to 5, cats are assigned to 3. I could assign it to a string. I could actually say cats as Dr. Seuss. There. Okay, I could call that. So if I typed in, if I wanted to say print cats, it would actually print out this string right here, but I am going to just call it 3, okay, as in a number. You can see where this is heading with math is the next one. And so I can do math in the most simple way of doing a calculator in Python is you would just type in print and then type in your math. So let's say 4 plus 4. Your operators are going to be just like what you learned in grade school. The plus, the minus, we could do print. Let's do some more math. We'll say 9 divide by 3. We're going to do print. Let's do a multiplication. You would don't use an X for multiplication. You're going to use, okay, I'll say 3 times 5. There we go. And then print, we'll say 10 minus 4. I don't know. So you can see here, you can imagine this direction this is going. These are just basic addition, dividing, multiplication, subtracting. You can also use floats. So I could actually say 4.2. And that actually works in Python 3. I believe in Python 2, it doesn't work. You actually have to call it spell it out as a float. So let's go ahead and run that. And you're going to see these are all of my answers right here. So this is kind of a fun little thing that you can do. It should be pretty straightforward. So now let's go ahead and we're going to use our famous print function. And we're going to say print, here, let's assign a variable here. So we're going to assign, let's see here. Actually, before we do that, let's say print, remember our variables up above? Cats and dogs. So we're going to say cats plus dogs. And in fact, let's make it a little more interesting. And we're going to put a string in there too. So we're going to say total amount of animals are, and then there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. And total number of animals are 8 because we're adding the cats and the dogs together. And there we go. So, so another thing that you do constantly when you're writing code is you're changing the value of a variable, and that's called reassigning a variable. Just like it's like, imagine you got a guy named Bob, but everybody calls him T-Bone. And so that's that. You've got the same guy, but he has 2 different names, or you change his name, like somebody getting married, they have their maiden name, and then she changes her last name. So the way you would reassign a variable is you could do something like this. I'm just going to say total animals, okay, equals cats plus dogs. Now I can say print total animals. There we go. And that will give me right here at the bottom 8. So what I've done is I've added 2 and then I've called them something else. And I could even just change the name of one of these variables, which wouldn't really make a lot of sense if I were to say, like, cats, or I'd say like number of cats equals cats. Okay, I could do that. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to do that. But there are times when you might find something like that of value. But there, so you've learned about what comments are, on a most basic level, what a function is, what variables are, and how to do basic arithmetic, and then reassigning variables. That's all. Next time, you'll be learning about the input function and a few other kinds of things. Thanks.